Hi, it's Mr. Sauter. Let's talk about dialogue. Whenever I'm reading a dense page of narration and description, no matter how good it is, when I turn the page and see some dialogue, I'm relieved. It's like stepping out of a forest where walking takes conscious effort, and then suddenly stepping into a clearing or onto a trail. Wow, look at all that glorious white space. I can now just walk easily without climbing over rocks and fallen trees. And paradoxically, although it might speed up your page per minute reading ratio, the effect of dialogue is that it slows down the story for a minute and focuses your attention on an important moment in the story, where characters are moving the plot forward, revealing to the reader who they are, or having an important interaction with someone. The ability to write dialogue is a basic skill for people writing fiction or memoir. If you're writing a narrative of any kind, you need to know how and when to use dialogue. But to write dialogue, you first need to know how to format it. You've seen it 1,000 times in books, but you might never have looked closely at what made it look like dialogue. First, every time a new person speaks, you put their words in double quotation marks, like this. And when a character is quoting someone else, you put that quote within a quote in single quotation marks. That's in the US. Sometimes the rules are different in other places. Also, every time a different person speaks, you start a new paragraph. That could mean indenting like you see here, or skipping a line like here in this bit of Star Trek fanfiction. And now I want to defer to Megan Panic, a Wisconsin teacher who has a crystal clear video entirely about formatting dialogue. She explains in her video that the he says, she says, I whispered, and chuckled the cheerleader are called dialogue tags. And whether the dialogue tag comes before, after, or in the middle of the words the character is saying, you have to separate it from the quoted words with commas, like this. Go watch her video if you want some depth on the topic of dialogue formatting. So with these rules, you can now write something that is immediately recognizable as dialogue. Okay, now, when a character does something, an action, in conjunction with what they are saying, you put it in the same paragraph as the quoted words, like this, from Colombian writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez. General Moncada got up to clean his thick, horn-rimmed glasses with his shirt tail. See, that's an action, so it isn't in quotation marks. Probably, he said, but what worries me is not your shooting me, because, after all, for people like us, it's a natural death. Now, those are words General Moncada said out loud, so they go in quotation marks. He laid his glasses on the bed and took off his watch and chain. That's an action. What worries me, he went on as a dialogue tag, is that out of so much hatred for the military, out of fighting them so much, you ended up as bad as they are. So you see here multiple statements and multiple actions by one character, General Moncada. They all go in the same paragraph. When the next person speaks, you start a new paragraph. Another thing about actions, an action can be like a line of dialogue. The only other person who had access to that locked door is you, Ava. Ava just stared back at the detective. Ava, did you hear me? Did you notice in that example that Ava's action, or lack of action, gets its own paragraph as if she had said something? When she stares silently, it's a kind of reply, even if it's silent, so it gets its own paragraph as if she'd said something. A couple of points about dialogue tags now. You can replace said with something more descriptive like he shouted or I mumbled, but do this sparingly. Try to limit this to when how a person says something is important to the scene or to make the character's meaning clear. And even then, rather than adding an adverb like idiotically, you're probably better off describing the speaker's tone through her actions or how the second character reacts to the first character's words. On the other hand, I says, he says, she says, and they says become transparent after a while. They don't draw any attention to themselves the way those descriptive tags do. We just notice the words the characters are saying, and that's a good thing. Also, when it's clear who's talking, you can leave the dialogue tag out altogether. Most of the time, dialogue is just two people talking, right? So if they're just taking turns talking, alternating back and forth, you can just identify them at the beginning and then drop the dialogue tags entirely, like these lines from All American Boys, where a coach is giving a pep talk. Now, in the Ava example, the detective speaks in complete sentences. In real life, that's not usually how people talk. I am right now because I'm reading from a script I wrote, and we usually write in complete grammatical sentences. But when we often talk in fragments and colloquial English or slang. We use content-specific jargon like bandwidth and 403 error without explaining what those words mean. We interrupt each other. We start sentences and then let them trail off without actually finishing them. We drop all kinds of verbal dandruff into our speech, like, like, dude, seriously. That kind of thing. We don't always say things clearly, and then we have to go back and explain it again better. We start to say one word, then stop suddenly and switch to the new word. We mispronounce words or use the wrong word for what we mean. You wouldn't read more than a page like that. You'd put the book down. There's a balance you want to hit with your dialogue. No one wants to read what real-life dialogue actually sounds like. We like to read dialogue that is clear and concise but has flavor. It isn't just blandly accurate. Good dialogue reveals a character, maybe where they're from, or how old they are, or what their personality is like. The words they say also move the plot forward. Dialogue is a goldmine of information if you take the time to look for it. Read this example from Arne Bontem's short story, A Summer Tragedy. From the dialogue, we get a sense of who these people are, what the time period is, maybe what place they live in. We get a sense of the relationship between these two people, this old married couple, how Jeff is trying to take good care of his wife, Jenny. It sounds like they care about each other. You might be able to infer that Jeff and Jenny are an old black couple in the American South. The first lines of the story reveal that Jeff is a sharecropper who lives, quote, a simple life, unquote. If you know your history, you might know a little about what that simple life involves. And if you know that Arne Bontemps was a writer associated with the Harlem Renaissance and that the story was first published in 1933, you can put together a rough picture of who these people are. Okay, take a quick break. This video is continued in How to Write Dialogue, Part 2.